Here we go.
There are no good apples out there. White people make my blood boil. When you say there are no good apples out there, what kind of claim are you making?
I'm talking about people have this idea that racism is something that if you're consciously racist or if you're a Klan member, and I'm sort of making the claim that racism is something that is unconscious and it is actually in everyone, and everyone.
Pause.
Everyone is racist.
Everyone is racist. You know what I hate? And the left is so good at it. It's moving the goalpost. And we talk about this all the time on this show. But at first, you know, it was like, if you're racist, that's bad. Now it's not enough to say I'm not racist. Okay. It was enough back in the day to be like, I'm not racist. I treat everybody the same. Nope. Now that's racist. Now you have to be an anti-racist. Okay. Now I'm an anti-racist. I'm actively fighting against racism in my daily life. Oh, wait, that's not good enough because you still have unconscious, unknown bias.
Wait, but if everyone is racist, then no one's racist.
Wisdom from Will Witt.
Wait, but actually, I don't understand the point, because if everyone is already racist, then what do you do? How do you fix that? If you're born racist, according to this lady, you're born racist, everyone's already racist, you already have these inherent biases with everything that you think about when you see a black person or whatever on the street, what can be done?
The trick is,
how you are.
The trick is, by everyone, she means white people.
Exactly.
Right. So
Right.
just us.
Yeah, it's just you guys.
And the solution she's going for, or the implicit solution, is we need to not necessarily like exterminate white people, but tear down like America and society, Western society as we know it. We need this new Marxist revolution to institute where we people who are enlightened by this ideology are in control of everything. And we live in a world where white people grovel and apologize and crawl around on the street like paupers and say we're sorry for existing, you know, and give up all their positions of power. That's sort of, I mean, implicitly the utopia that she's going for. And, you know, this is like, we want to live in a world, this just shows like the duplicity of it, that there's a double standard where she can go on there and spout this hate, and if it were any other race, it was wrong. What that shows is that this isn't about liberal values or Judeo-Christian values where we want truth to prevail, where we want people to have integrity, where we want the right thing to be done overall. It's just about, I have this power structure, I want this type of ideology to win, and that's become the dominant narrative in our culture, that like whiteness is this big evil boogeyman and we have to tear it down by any means necessary, even at the expense of truth and you know, fairness and true justice. That the social justice is trying to like overcome that.
That's right. I mean, listening to her talk is just the result of a generation of indoctrination in the education system, in our culture, in our media. This is what you get. I mean, this is warped thinking. Any rational person listening to this doctor talking would realize on its face how warped her mind and her thinking is. But unfortunately, she's not alone. It's not like this is an isolated incident. This is actually a growing trend in our society, and a lot of it's just because of the indoctrination for an entire generation in our school system, which is why PragerU exists, to fight back against things like this.
Right, and they will tell you, we're the ones who really love America. We don't really hate white people. We just want you guys to acknowledge this. And this language is dangerous. The language of unconscious or founded in white supremacy is very, very dangerous, because do you really love America if you think our entire country, our entire governance is founded in white supremacy? If that is true, you don't love America. And do you really love white people and want to help them if you think that they have unconscious bias that they inherit just by virtue of being born? No, you don't. You have hatred. It is dehumanizing. And again, it is this sort of eugenicist language in regard to white people.
If it's unconscious, that would mean that I don't know that I have it.
You don't know that you have it.
If I don't know that I'm racist, how do you know that I'm racist? That doesn't make any sense.
It's what the left does. They pigeonhole you in a way that is completely illogical, that you couldn't possibly argue your way out of it. How do you argue your way out of unconscious racism? You can't. You can't.
Amala is very good and very smart. I'm listening to Amala and I'm saying, I'm so glad we added another personality to the PragerU library. I mean, Will was doing a great job.
I was doing an all right job.
Amala is a star. Yeah.
Stop.
Amala, you're very good at talking about these things.
Oh, thank you. Let's continue watching. I'm uncomfortable.
Uses these words systemic. They're like, you know, I know that racism is systemic, and yet individually when you call them out, they'll be like, well, it's not me, you can't say that. And so there's a disconnect between use of the word systemic and saying that racism is everywhere, but the moment you point it out individually, there's sort of, people disown their own violence and racism.
Would it be fair to say, based on your expertise, that white people are psychopathic?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think that there's many lies that, and didn't get to that part because what I've delivered was only part of a first series of talks. But the level of lying that white people do that has started since colonialism, we're just used to it. Such as every time that you steal a country, you loot, you say you've discovered something. I mean, this level of lie is actually part of history. We don't say that we killed all these people, we got rid of all the Native Americans. We say we discovered America. You don't talk about the level of death. You don't talk about the level of what actually occurred. You wipe the slate clean, you sanitize the violence, and you actually got lost along the way. You're trying to go to India, and then you say you discovered something. And this level of discovery is everywhere. You've discovered vegetarianism. You know, you've discovered yoga. You've discovered everything is a discovery, and it's all actually stolen.
I
discovered yoga.
You can just probably, behind the camera of Marco Monhill is just like the white producer holding the camera. Just like, yeah.
He's like hiding behind it.
Yeah. He's like, what is going on? This is horrible.
What I was just watching Mark. How could he be so silent during that? He just let her say all that dribble and didn't respond in any rational way. He didn't have any like legitimate follow-up question. He just let her go.
I just think it's so what do you say to that? What do you say to that?
How could you be white and still like agree with anything like this?
I don't know.
Again, if she was saying this about black people, saying the exact same thing, how could any black person watch that?
Right.
And say, oh, I agree with this. That is insane. And talking about white people and the colonization, like only white people did this. Look at the Native American societies. They were killing each other for centuries beforehand. Look at the old civilizations in Africa, like in Ghana or in the Middle East, or the ancient dynasties in China and Japan, who were conquering and killing people for centuries.
Newsflash, like Libya has a real big slavery problem right now. Are you going to call them racist? Or what are we doing there? What are we calling that?
The world is like. The world is full of people taking over different places and everything. And it's not that it's always a good thing, all right? But you don't have to classify it by people's race and say that this is only a white person thing. It's just, this is what has happened throughout history.
Right. And I did a rant earlier today talking about this whole Juneteenth thing. See how reductive people are on the left. If you're white, you're a colonizer. If you're black, you were a slave. It's so crazy to me that you can see somebody, judge them, and assess their skin color, and that's the first immediate thing that you think of. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Someone on YouTube said, when I found this show, I discovered it.
That's very funny.
Yeah, by her logic, all land is stolen land. Everybody is a colonizer if you really want to be historically accurate. But no, that only applies to white people here in America.
Let's go do some yoga.
Let's go do some
yoga.